Garvin, would you be so kind to give us an indication this morning? Don.
Excuse me. Our Father in heaven, we thank you for this beautiful day. We thank you especially for your love, your watch care, and your grace. We ask now that you divine guidance would lead us this morning. We do the things that would be pleasing to you. We pray for our troops this morning, especially those in harm's way. Forgive us for our sins. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Shelley's down chasing down an application for cemetery, so as soon as she gets settled, we'll get a roll call. Okay. Okay, thank you. Sorry, Shelley.
Johnny Keener,
Honey.
Bill Shargy,
Honey.
Bill England,
Here.
Bill John Baker,
Here.
Jack Baker,
Here.
Audra Connor, Joe Crittenden,
Present.
Meredith Fraley, Don Garvin, Taylor King, Jackie Bob Martin,
Honor.
David Thornton, Carrie Cowan Watts. Honey. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is approval of minutes for April 17th.
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Minutes approved. Next on the agenda is reports. Cemetery Restoration Assistance Report.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda and move the act for the Arts and Crafts Authenticity Act up to the front because our attorney will have to leave here shortly.
Second.
I have a request to move item number 3 under old business up before the reports or where?
Before the reports, Madam Chair. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Hembry?
Thank you for your accommodation to me. Before you is the act that we have been working on for quite some time, Cherokee Nation Arts and Crafts Authenticity Act. We have met with members of CNE, and they are here to express any comments that they would have on the act. The purpose of the act is to for the Cherokee Nation not to knowingly offer for sale art that is purported to be Indian art that is not produced by a member of a federally recognized tribe. I guess to make it clear, this would not prohibit CNE from selling whatever art that they wish to sell. But if it is someone that holds himself out as an Indian artist who is not Indian, they would not be able to offer that for sale. That is, in layman's term, the synopsis of the act, and I would just turn it over to the sponsors of the act, Ms. Callum Watts and Jack Baker, for any additional comment.
Councilor Watts, Councilor Baker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We've had this now in front of the committee for 3 months, and we've tried to accommodate everything, all the comments and such. And we also worked with Diane Kelly in the Tarot office, and she is ready to implement the act with a one-page, very simple form that would streamline it for the artists, where they would only have to fill this out once for all our entities. And give them some certification, and also make a list available to JOM folks that they could readily access to make sure that they were putting Indian folks in front of our Indian students, and it would be free to those artists. It would be at no charge. And so I hope that if there's any questions or concerns, we could bring those forward at this point so we could keep this act moving.
Move for approval.
Mr. Baker?
Second.
Did you have a comment, Mr. Baker?
No, not at this time.
And Mr. Bill Baker, if you'll take over the chair for just a minute. I have a comment, if you'll allow me, before we vote on this.
Phyllis, I recognize you.
Thank you. I was reading over the minutes for this act, and there was a couple of times that the JOM program was mentioned, and I just want to clarify for the committee what JOM is doing. I don't think it would require such an act. What they are trying to do with their program is promote Cherokee art. Doesn't matter if they're tarot certified or if they're Indian artists. All that we're trying to promote is Cherokee art. So that if they're trying to teach Cherokee education, that they would have items that were Cherokee, depictions of cultural items or the basket weaving or pottery or things that are specifically Cherokee. Not necessarily the artists themselves, but the items. So I just wanted to clarify that part for the committee, because regardless of what the tribal affiliation of the artist is, we're still going to promote Cherokee art, because that's our prerogative to do that. So with that being said, that was my comment. Thank you.
And Madam Chair, and I agree, and I promote Cherokee rather than like Plains Indians and some of the other things that we tend to see in my district. But I've had feedback from my parents within JOM, because you know firsthand that we have limited staff and resources, especially in a department like JOM, where they can't always answer the inquiries when the parents committee needs such. So this would put a list out. I've talked to them, folks in my area directly, and they would appreciate a list being readily available to them. And so I think that's where it's coming from, not necessarily from the department. And I know that Dr. Allen is working on, at Dr. Morton's direction, a list of books, for example, that are qualified for folks to purchase for their libraries and such. So I'm excited about this being a component of that activity and putting forth our Cherokee art and culture. But we know from the Federal Indian Arts and Crafts Act that it is lacking, and that's creating certain problems, especially for the Cherokee Nation. So we need to clarify with our own Arts and Crafts Act to make sure that some of these state-recognized tribes don't continue to, gain precedence over our own tribal citizens and such. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I have a motion to...
Seconded.
And I have a second, and I still have comments. Would you please withdraw your motion and second so that we can allow the comments?
You have to have a motion to allow
You have to be on
discussion.
the floor.
Well,
Right.
they called for the vote. They called for questions.
No, there was a motion and second for approval.
Oh, okay.
So
All right.
discussion is appropriate at this time.
And you are recognized.
Taylor?
Thank you. There's something about a lot of Indian cultures, and I don't think that Cherokee culture is any different. And, I try to understand why we want to control all this as an Indian person. Cherokee Nation's got twice as many people who identify with being Cherokee than there are on some federal road. 700,000 people, and it's one of the most powerful things that our culture has is people identify with us. And we got a lot of friends, and at various times in history, those friends of the Cherokee Nation who were never citizens have helped us a lot. And today I know there's a lot of people who, with I think the best of intentions, try to support us, and sometimes that's through the art as well. And this is going to keep them from people who might live around here, familiar with Cherokees, familiar with our ways, might learn how to make baskets, make pottery, whatever it is. This is going to keep them from trying to appreciate our culture or be in any shows, and this is going to affect a number of people. And I'm certainly the first one to want to support our art, especially our citizens, but I'm worried about these kind of acts. you know, and who's going to police all this stuff? Is this going to be hurtful to people, you know? So I've had questions about this from the beginning, and just comment, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Mr. Garvin, Mr. Martin, did you have your hand up? Linda Taylor, could you step forward, please?
I'm Linda Taylor, and I manage the gift shops for the Cherokee Nation, Heritage Center, Catoosa, and Tahlequah. And I had some concerns on number A, on it says writings. Now, we carry hundreds and hundreds of books on Cherokee arts and crafts that definitely were not written by Cherokees. People that have studied the culture and promoted it. And this has been done for hundreds of years. If it wasn't for non-Indians writing a lot of that.
Well, let me clear up some confusion. The act that was in the packet, actually, you were handed out a more scaled down version that should be in front of the committee here. Okay. And we took out the writing part of it. We met with the members of the sales team at CME and did our best to address their concerns. And I apologize for not. I thought you got that, and I apologize. But this is a more scaled down version, and this is. And I want to make sure that the record is clear is that what has been handed out to you on the legal sheet is what is before the committee, not what was in your packet.
Okay, and then my next question is on the tarot certification. The way we do it now is an arts and crafts person comes in. If they're not set up as a vendor, then we do a vendor form, a W-9 form, get a copy of their CDIB, and that goes on to our to purchasing. They set them up in a system that is accessed by all CNE employees as either general for non-Indian or Cherokee-owned business or Native-owned business if they're Creek or another tribe. So my question is, are we going to ask all people that come in and say they're Cherokee new vendors to go through tarot?
If they're claiming, yes.
So they will have to go through the tarot department to be certified tarot. Then,
if they're claiming on their arts.
right, that's what I'm asking.
Todd, did you have something to say?
I think what the intent of the act is that if I produce art, in the general sense of the definition that is out here, and I want to sell this art to through the Cherokee Nation, and I claim that I'm Indian, all right, that there be a simple one-page, one-paragraph tarot form for a sole proprietor to come in and say, tarot, I'm a Cherokee artist, here's my white card or Indian card, white card or tribal, whatever tribal affiliation I am an authentic Indian artist. They copy off the two cards, sign me off as a sole proprietor, that's it. Zero cost, one page, just so that there is some type of documentation that they are a member of a federally recognized tribe.
Then is that information passed on to us? What I'm saying is, okay, we had, say, a couple of months ago, a Cherokee artist from North Carolina, Joe Queen, that is a master potter. And, he was in for the weekend for the show, had some of this product with him. We wanted to carry it in the gift shops. So we did a vendor form, W-9 form, got a copy of his tribal card, and sent it to our CNE department. So if he's in for the weekend, am I supposed to tell them, you have to be certified with tarot first before we can buy from you?
We can streamline that. I mean, and I don't want to speak for tarot office, but to me, I would think that it would be a very easy thing to do. Faxing your form with faxing a copy of the CDIB card and your tribal membership card. It's an automatic thing. If you have those if you have that documentation. And it would maintain a master list that anyone that would call in and say, where you have Cherokee artists, you have Indian artists, Tara would have a list of those individuals. The idea is to make it as simple as possible for the artist, but yet still have some type of verification that they are.
I think that's a good idea, but I think we need to try to work it out to where it's communicated, to the locations for myself, for Catherine at the Heritage Center.
Madam Chair, when I've spoken with Harold and he was fine with all this, so I'm unclear about why there's suddenly issues.
No, there is not
suddenly. That there was, everything was fine, and we knew that there would be several things that would have to be worked out with Tara, because this would be a new process.
Well,
And that's more of an implementation of how the procedure that goes, we'll work out the act. I mean, the council would pass an act, and it's up to the administration to execute it, to implement these forms. And I believe the concerns that you have and you've expressed can be worked out through the implementation process.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, as a buyer and as someone that's over 3 locations, that I am not going to get myself or my people in some kind of jam because of this act.
And those are the
I
details.
just want the details laid out to me.
And that's through the implementation process that we can't put everything into the act.
No.
But through the
As we discussed, we can't put everything into the act, but this
Mr.
would be
Hembry
something that
and
would work out.
Ms. Taylor, I have a question from Councilor Connor.
Yes.
Does this act saying art shops can no longer sell prints by other artists?
Say that again?
Is this act telling us that our gift shops can no longer sell prints or anything by other artists? Because if that were the case, we got several artists, Bird Jacobs, Troy Henderson, Will Stone can carry any of their products.
Well, see, that's my question. I do not want to get myself or my people backed into a corner to where we have to defend ourselves because there's...
Okay,
I'm going to say before. And my concern is if we're trying to determine Cherokee versus non-Cherokee or Native American style or Indian style versus non. I know I had an artist come to my home and was very concerned about this act. She referenced the Indian Act of 1990 brought about by Ben Nighthorse, who basically the only thing that they were asking for in this act was truth in advertising. If you're not a Native American, but you do produce Native American art, then it should be labeled, or a section could be set up in the style of, or a Native American style, but not be sold as Indian art by an Indian artist. That is all that act asked for. It just clarified who
Truth and
truth in
labeling.
advertising,
Right. Truth and labeling.
It's just basically truth in what you're getting.
Right.
So so people can't come in and say, well, I'm an Indian artist. They can say, I provide art in the Native American style. So I would not want to see us limit ourselves and not be able to provide art, that Chinese master artists provide. It's not all of them, They're allowed to compete in those kinds of shows, but we're not going to allow them to,
That was just my concerns, the writings.
Councilor Watts, did you have your hand up?
Yes, I did, but I will.
Okay, excuse me. Councilor Connor, are you finished?
for now, yes. Thank you.
I think the intent is not to exclude those artists and to be able to sell the prints and so on, but they can't sell them as Indian art as such, or as Indian artists. They can put them as a separate category. As you said, this is Cherokee art, but not produced by a recognized Cherokee.
Councilor Baker, are you finished?
Yes.
Back, Connor.
Okay, so if there's already, we already have the Indian Artists of 1990, then I'm not seeing why we would need to do this legislation here. It applies to everyone anyway. I guess that's what I need clarification on.
Madam Chair, may I answer that?
Councilor Wise, are you ready to speak now?
Okay, there's one of those individuals that you noted that paid for his card. And under the National Federal Indian Arts and Crafts Act, because that Kentucky Cherokees is a state recognized tribe because Kentucky's trying to get revenue from HUD and everywhere else, he is recognized then as an Indian artist because he paid for his card. Recently, he was on National Public Radio in Tulsa representing Cherokees when we were in our own backyard because they didn't know any better, and he gets to sell his art as an Indian artist. I have a problem with that. And if we don't step up in our own legislation and clarify that and avoid these state-recognized tribes, and let me tell you, there is a ton of them, and they're taking our monies from our kids and everything else, and they use the art world to validate themselves because the federal law is too loose and they can pay for that card, which recognizes them as an Indian person suddenly under a lot of people, especially when they produce Indian art and sell it. So if we don't step up and define this for ourselves in our own backyard, we're going to continue to have problems. There's even a specialty license plate that the state of Oklahoma recognized that we're trying to get revoked now because there's northern Louisiana Cherokees and it looks like a tribal tag. And they're being issued because somebody didn't draw a line in the sand and stand up for our citizens. And that's what this is about.
So should we, in this act, if they are claiming to be state recognized, are we still going to?
No. It is federally recognized that only the U.S. Congress has the right to acknowledge tribes.
Right.
And the Department of the Interior, actually. Congress should not appoint tribes and make tribes. Only the Department of Interior, through a proper process, has that right.
Right. But I was just asking in the Arts and Crafts Act, doesn't it say state recognized tribes?
In the federal.
Right.
And that's why we need our own, because the federal folks, for whatever reason, haven't stepped up and recognized their own definition of what an Indian person is.
Yeah.
Okay, I have Mr. Anglin.
Okay, I'll sit
Sorry,
down.
Councilor Wise, are you finished?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I have
all I have.
Councilor
Thank you.
Anglin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I agree with Todd. I believe that the Terrell Act, I believe this act, with having the Terrell requirement in here, it just adds teeth. Because I'm such a strong supporter of Terrell, and I want to make sure that these vendors are Terrell certified to make sure that they can sell this art. And I will never waver from anything of allowing non-Indian or non-federally recognized tribes of coming in and circumventing our system of being Terrell certified. And so this act, I believe, adds that in there. And I believe our attorney said that it can be streamlined to where these people, if they're a bona fide person that belongs to a recognized tribe and not a tribe out there that these people out there buying cards for $25 and become a citizen of some made-up tribe, then I am a strong supporter of Terrell, and I believe in this act.
Thank you, Mr. Anglin. Councilor King?
I actually had a question for Todd. He just stepped out, but what my concern is, I mean, can we even pass an act that is more stringent than the federal law? And to me, this, I'm trying to understand I'm sorry, Todd?
Oh, I had to grab a cloth real quick. Yes.
This act would be more stringent than the federal law. Can we even by law pass something that, for example, trying to exclude state recognized tribes, but the Indian arts and that?
So, I think that's part of the exercise of our sovereignty. If we wanted to make a more stringent definition of Indian art in our jurisdiction, that is within the powers of the council to do.
And then still, I agree with Councilor Connor that, this, to me, this Section 5, Part B, the Cherokee Nation shall not host, sponsor, fund, or otherwise vote or contribute any resource to art exhibits allowing the exhibition of works by artists who falsely claim, imply, or suggest that they're Indian artists. I mean, that takes out Merv Jacobs, Bert Seaborn, the whole list of the Stone family, Troy Anderson, and people who I think do honor to our culture. And we wouldn't be able to sell them, they wouldn't be able to come to any of our art fairs. And I don't understand why, but the motivation, again, it seems to be about fear to me. I don't know what we're fearful of. And right now, you can be one over whatever thousands, Cherokee be a citizen and do it, but I don't understand this. I can't support it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Councilor Garvin.
Madam Chair, I call the question.
Question's been called. All those in favor of this legislative act relating to Native American arts authenticity, say aye.
Aye. It'll need to be, it's an act that needs to be a roll call vote.
Okay. Sorry.
Bill England,
Yes.
Bill John Baker,
No.
Jack Baker,
Yes.
Audra Connor, Joe Crittenden,
No.
Meredith Fraley, Don Garvin,
Yes.
Taylor King,
No.
Johnny Keener,
No.
Jackie Bob Martin, Eric Allen Watts,
Yes.
Phyllis Sharkey.
No.
We have 5 yea and 6 nay.
Okay, the act fails. We'll move on to reports. Cemetery Restoration Assistance Report. You have those reports, written reports in front of you. Mr. Greenfeather, are you going to give us that report today?
Yes, today I am.
All right.
First of all, I want to apologize about last month. Be honest with you, we just forgot it. We've been extremely busy in the office, and anyway, they called and wondered where we was at. We said, well, we're here. But we apologize, and I see it won't happen again. Your cemetery report, and I'm sure you're familiar with it, it lists the ones that are complete and the ones that aren't. And really maybe shouldn't comment on it, but we made headlines this past month, I think in the Phoenix, or whatever they call the Free Press, about, keeping up with this. We first became part of the program back in the latter part of 2004, I think it was. It was really a council program. And we were asked to assist Council House staff, Gina Blackfox at that time, on keeping track of some of the receipts and so forth. And then we were told that they were going to hire an individual here in the Council House to take care of this, but it never did happen. And since that time, Miss Blackfox left. And so we continue to do what we were asked to do. And then the process that we do now is that I think the Council House hands out the applications, you approve the ones, and then they're forwarded to our office. They take care of the payment going to the approved cemetery committee, and then we try to track the receipts, track the money. And the process that we have now is if they fail to report within 120 days, we send out notification. If we have a phone number, we contact them, tell them that we need that, we need that information for them to be in compliance. And then we send out, I think, a couple letters requesting, but if you'll notice back in the act, and I'd like to read that to you. It says in Section 5, the Language and Culture Committee is hereby authorized
and directed to develop such policies and procedures necessary to effectively implement the program. So, we contacted the council house, and all that they know of and all that we know of is this legislation here that was passed, and therefore we really don't have, I guess you'd say, really any set policies on it. It's just sort of been formulated as it went along. So we'd like to ask the committee, what's your pleasure? What would you like to do, and what would you like for us to do?
Taking a gavel on that right now,
Mr. Greenfeather, I appreciate your comments, and I was, very concerned about the article that was in the paper this month. This is the legislative branch of government. I know everybody knows that. We don't administer programs, and that's been made very clear to us over and over and over. When we allocate money, we are told that we don't administer programs. And so this program was developed in the mind of helping community organizations restore or maintain their cemeteries. And I know you just inherited the program, but I for the audience and for the committee who are new, I just wanted to provide a little bit of history about what happened and why we are at the point where we are today. Our council, Mr. Hembry and Melanie Knight, and at that time Marvin Jones was over the Community Works project, and they were concerned that we didn't want to make the policies and reporting too burdensome on the community organizations that administer the program. And one of the ways that they felt that would be workable for those community programs is just to have them to write a written statement or one paragraph how they spent the money, and no receipts would be required. We asked questions then about what about if they purchase Cherokee equipment? Does that become the property of Cherokee Nation? And all of these questions were discussed, and it was finally decided that we would be redundant if we had developed a policy that would state this, that, or the other, because in the law it already says that they just have to provide a written statement of how the money was spent. And so it's been the opinion of some council members that we should require receipt, even if someone purchases a gallon of gas, that we should get a receipt. But it was our policy way back then, and it was agreed upon by several people, as I named, and that they would just provide a written statement to what they spent the money for. And then as counselors involved in the community, then it was our prerogative to visit those cemeteries to assure that the money had been spent in the way that it was requested. And I think for the most part, I think all the counselors are familiar with their area and know that the money has been spent in the way that it was requested. And whether or not we have a receipt, is another thing. There have been several exceptions made in this program. I know that we have allocated more than $500 to some cemeteries based on where they were or who was actually doing the maintenance and upkeep on them. And we haven't required those that receive larger amounts to provide receipts either. All that we require is that they provide a written statement stating how they spent the money. And I was under the assumption that we were getting those written statements if they were put on the list as having expended their money. some of these, I know that have not spent their money, have not cashed the checks. Do we contact them and tell them to send the checks back? And how difficult is it to do something like that if they haven't used the money, and they're willing to send the check back because they're not going to use it, or they didn't use it in the way that they intended? Then why would we not be able to take a check back from them if it's not been cashed? So, and I know that in some cases I've been told that some people tried to send the check back and was told, no, just do something with it because it's too much hassle to send the check back and have to go through all that paperwork. So I think that we just need to understand as a committee and for you that's all we're requiring is a written statement of the work done, and not the receipts. As far as the legislation is concerned, it does say, and the applications do say, a written statement of how the money was spent. At the bottom, if awarded, the individual or organization receiving funds must present a written accounting of the use of the funds within 120 days of receipt. So that's what the applications say, and I assumed, I guess maybe that's bad to assume on my part, that that's what we were given. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Gil, and then I'll come down.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Donna, from my understanding, the whole lot, with this article in the paper and everything else, but I think you guys have done a great job, first of all. And my understanding was, I believe that all the cemeteries were turning in the proper paperwork and the receipts for the larger grants. Am I not correct on that? And I believe that your department received receipts and stuff for a long.
You mean like on
for the
community work?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So I think that's misleading of what all this stuff that come out in the paper. I believe that some of the public has been misled once again because of the way this was written up, because I believe that you guys received all the receipts for the community. This other thing, I believe that was an agreement inside this committee that the $500 may not be spent within 120 days, but it may take all summer long to spend this $500. I think we all sat here and agreed that this was ongoing maintenance for the summer to take care of these cemeteries. So I don't believe there's anything wrong there, because you may not spend $500 in 120 days. It may take you the whole summer to mold these things. So once again, I think the public has been misled with this article in the paper. And I don't know who wrote it or how it came up, but I believe your department is doing a great job. My people really appreciate you and everything. So that's all I had to say.
Madam Chair, one comment I'd like to make, and there again, if there is a confusion between the community work program, that is part of our unit up there, and we have assisted, cemeteries before, but this here, as the councilman mentioned, is, a different program, and we receive no funding. I have staff that is tracking this. We have to pay out of other programs. There's no budget, for us. We were just asked to assist all this, which we'd be glad to do if we just know the direction and the directive that the committee here, would like to go.
Let me interrupt you for just a little
Okay.
bit. Back in February of '05, Councilor Cowan made a motion for the community service group to administer the program past the point of applications taken, received and voted on by this committee, which we do. They, I guess meaning community service, would gather the receipts, administer the checks, follow up in report form to this committee. They would administer extensions for the 120-day requirements where needed. And this was passed and approved. So I'm assuming that's when you all were then tasked with the
Okay,
administrative.
I'm not aware of that. On May the 2nd, we contacted the council office here and asked if they had any documentation. We received this back, and it says, as I know, all there is the application and the legislation. This come from the council office on May the 2nd of this month.
Okay, do you want a copy of these?
I'd be glad to have a copy of it. And, we don't have a problem with it. And my personal opinion is that most of these cemeteries, and I don't think there's been any, fraudulent misconduct by the people. Most of them's, to be truthful with you, elderly people that maintain the cemeteries, and we get letters, I get calls, and they say, well, we haven't spent the money. There's one lady that calls, and I'm sure some of you know her, and she calls, and I guess she's lonesome because she likes to visit and tell us about her surgery and why she hadn't been able to mow and all those kind of things, and we try to be patient and bear with them. I think it's a good program. I think if you go through your district and look at the cemeteries, that it has upgraded a lot of them, all the way from buying gas for the lawnmowers to weed eaters to building fence and, those kind of things. Anytime you deal with people, you're going to have minuses and pluses, but I think the program, the good far outweighs any negative input whatsoever. And we'd be glad to do it if we just know what to do and how to do it. What's your pleasure?
And Mr. Greenfeather, I also agree that it's been a miscommunication on both parts. When you change people, individuals, sometimes a lot of that knowledge is lost, a lot of that history is lost. So appreciate your work. And Donna, I know Donna comes and reports in your place sometimes, and I know that she probably ends up having to chase some of these applications and information down. So I appreciate the work that you all do for us, and just if there's any questions.
Okay, one question I do have, Madam Chairman. Are we going to ask for receipts or not? Are we just going to ask for a written report?
Well, if we go back to those minutes of the 2005, then it does say that we are going to ask for receipts.
Okay.
Mr. Martin, you had your hand up?
Yes. Chair, thank you. My suggestion is this, and I appreciate the comments, learned something from this, and I've had some questions myself about the way some of this has been handled, or lack of information from the people that receive the funding. As I look at the report, several places there where you've not received anything from these people. But my comment is this: I think that this committee needs to take another hard look at this situation. And you made a comment a while ago, Don, about your department help administer this program, but you have to administer this part out of your funds and budget.
Yes.
So my point would be, we got into a similar situation when we did the road funding assistance from our lowest fuel tax fund several years ago. In that when we budgeted that program, that we took 10% of that budget and give it to the department that administers the program. So my suggestion would be that we might need to look at it that way, where maybe in a budget cycle or whenever, that we might consider that. I can't say that we can do that. I would suggest that, and that help your department.
Yes,
I know
be
you're not the
very
only one that does that. Your staff works at this. But I think we need, Madam Chair, a committee that we need to step back and take another hard look at. Thank you.
Mr. Keener, I overlooked earlier, and I apologize that you have the floor now, and I'll get
Just a brief one, on that 05 and stuff, yes, we decided, at that time, what was that? What was his name? Well, anyway, when it first originated and stuff like that administration took the responsibility, that there was no monetary asked about for the staffing down there to administer the call of working these problems out. What was his name?
Marvin Jones.
Yeah, Marvin Jones. He took the responsibility. Here in the legislature, we just appropriated the money, and he was going to do the rest. In other words, all we did was appropriate the money, and he was going to take care of the rest. Other than we did put in some guidelines, probably later, get a receipt in order, thinking that there may be some fraud being done or something, and so give an account. But actually, to me, I thought the administration was going to take care of that. In fact, Marvin Jones did say, I'll look into that. I'll see that it won't happen. And so actually from there on it was just kind of quiet. But then again with Jackie Bob over there, we heard take 10% out of that, 10% out of that 500, take care of some of this work that you're doing. I mean, it's just a suggestion right now, but I would think, yes, if you want to be recompensated for your work instead of taking it out of another program and stuff like that. So anyway, we just make a big deal out of
Amen to that.
Councilor Watt? Thank you, Madam Chair. I had a little bit different take on the article, and so did the folks that read it that talked to me, and that it was decisions by this body that appeared to be inappropriate. Because what I recall from our discussion, starting with Marvin and then with your group, is that they did not take fiduciary responsibility. All they were doing was managing the reporting and the receipts and the housing of it. You guys are not responsible. That stayed with us. And I remember that was an explicit discussion at this council meeting. I'm not sure, Don, you may have even been there, because you guys have done an excellent job of reporting and housing the receipts for us. And Bill's right. I mean, you impeccable. I appreciate that, because if you hadn't taken that responsibility, it would be even worse than it already is about the accounting. There's one cemetery on our restoration assistance right now that hasn't reported for the earlier $500 that they've asked for, but yet they're on here for another $500, and they haven't done it. And so it's this body that hasn't taken responsibility for the Cherokee people's money, whether it's $1, 50 cents, whether it's $3 for that gallon of gas, or whether it's 500 or $5 million. I thought we had fiduciary responsibility for every dollar. And that article to me was more about the responsibility of this body, and that we haven't taken ownership of accounting for the Cherokee people's money. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. Garvin.
We have an application today for the Nugent Cemetery, and it's over in District 2. And on this report, it started out in District 1 by Irma Brewer, and on the next page, last page, the Nugent Cemeteries in District 1 was submitted by Maxine Nugent.
Point of order. Let's let Don finish with his report, and then we'll look at
this is pertinent to his report. What we have is an application in District 1, we have an application in District 2, and now they're getting in District 4 for the same cemetery, Nugent Cemetery. So, I don't know.
Madam Chair, who printed this? That's what's in there.
And Dr. Sly's name was in there. It came in the mail and had a weird thing, so I don't know if you knew the person or what. The person submitting it is Frida Sermon. Fort Gibson.
I've never heard of it.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
Council Brady?
Madam Chair, it's possible that these are two separate cemeteries. I'm not positive, but I think that it's possible that they are. That they may be. That's all.
We're done with Dawn, right?
I have one more comment that I'd like to make, a question, and that is, there again, you know, we are more than willing to help, as we have in the past, on this. But there again, we called on some of these, and I know some of them. You look down the name, they're good people. I know some of them at Jay that hadn't reported. I was looking at this other, and I think are really pretty decent people, you know, the individual. But even after 120 days, after we have sent out letters, after we have personally contact them, and they then continue not to send in the receipts, what's the pleasure of the group? What do we do? What do you want to do? I don't think there's anything that we've seen in writing yet, you know, that would give us a directive on where do we go from here.
I think we have a suggestion coming up.
Okay.
Councilor Watts?
Madam Chair, can we add that as an agenda item at the next month meeting so that we can have time for all of us to consider what the best course of action is, appropriate course, and provide that then to Dawn and his group?
Is that a motion?
I make that as a motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to add a special agenda item and a comment.
Comment. I would comment that if you report, no more funding. That way you get your report. If you're going to report. If they want funding, give a report. Okay. I mean, that is, at least we ought to go up to this is yearly basis, isn't it?
What's that, John?
We appropriate this money yearly basis, don't we? Instead of 120 days, give them a year. If not, it's time they come back in, review it. If they had never put in one, send them a letter back. No funding, no reports, no funding from last year. Or whatever way you want to work. I mean, just suggestions, I mean, you know.
Have a call for the question to add this as a special agenda item to the consequences, I guess, of people not reporting. So if you'll look at your list of the people that are on there, and if you know any of them, and if they're from your district, I would suggest that you make a phone call to them just to put a bug in their ear about these reports, and that it's going to be discussed should they want to attend the meeting next month and to answer questions or be prepared to maybe see their name in the paper or whatever. You might do that. So questions been called. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. So we will address that next month. Be prepared for a lively discussion, I'm sure.
Okay.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you very much.
It's 10 o'clock, guys. We have employment meetings, so we still have several items on the agenda. Director's report is next. Dr. Sly?
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
circumstances, I move that we take the written report unless there's something that she just really needs to get out.
Yes. Yeah. I do want you all to look at the item that is laying in front of you. A couple of things, and I just wanted to highlight, and it won't take me a couple of minutes, talk about the language fair with the students there. We're finishing our classes up and getting ready for our summer camp. But the thing is that the state certification test for teachers, you'll be able to go and register for it beginning July 1. The first administration of that test will be in September. So we're on that part. What I also wanted to mention was I know it's not in the director's report, but the cemetery, the markers for the monuments. The first page is an illustration of what it would be. The second page are the estimates that we have gotten, and then the third and fourth page are the the colors of the granite that we can get. And we're recommending the jet black. The memorial will be marker, the historical marker will be gray granite, so we're recommending the black. So we just want you to look at that information attached to those. Someone asked about the headstones of the chief, and I have that in the back there. So that's just information for you. And then there's one other thing. Right now, we're looking at monument markers for elected chiefs of Cherokee Nation. We probably need to have a discussion about chiefs for a day. Do we want to do that? I was thinking, but right now we're just looking at those for the elected chiefs. But that's something further that can be, discussed at a later event. And then just a couple of reminders from the Heritage Center is that they'll be hosting the 40th anniversary of Ancient Villagers on June 30th, and also Under the Cherokee Moon, a historical dinner theater performed Friday and Saturday this summer, and it opens June 1. So, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sly. In Dr. Sly's director's report, she briefly touched on the former chief's gravesite monument, and it was for discussion only. She's presented some information to us. What is the pleasure of this committee? Do we want it on the agenda next month for action?
Yes.
Okay, we will put it on next month. Do we need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to put this former chief gravesite monuments for action, and we will have some of those questions answered, I suppose, Dr. Sly, that you posed to us today. Okay, the next thing is the item number 2, Legislative Act 22505. Yes.
Move the table for this month.
We have a motion to table that. Take a second. To Mr. Bakers. Motion and second to table. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now, the cemetery restoration applications. You have that list in front of you. You have 6 in District 1.
Move to approve District 1.
Second.
I have a motion and second for District 1 applications. Move and approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? District 2.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Crittenden first, Mr. Martin, and then Calvin Watts.
I would suggest holding up Proctor Sanders due to the fact they haven't reported according to this report we have here. And also the Morris Family Cemetery, I don't know anything about that amount of money. Mr. Martin might. Otherwise, I'd say 500 max on it. They're asking for $26.50 for it. I mean, that's just my thoughts. They haven't asked me about it.
Policy's 500.
Yes, I agree. I'm finished.
Mr. Martin.
I reviewed that. I have the same problem with that since our policy is 500 max. If you make a motion to approve that one, or for $500, yes, sir. Yeah, well, I'll second it.
Did you motion to not approve Proctor Sanders?
Yes, to hold it or
To hold?
or disapprove it or whatever.
Okay, and then number 7?
Approve it.
Nugent was a question mark too.
Okay, Calvin Watts?
Nugent's a question mark too for the reasons that Councilman Garvin brought up earlier. Is it the same as the one that has already been allocated money but hasn't responded that was in District 1? Then I can't approve it for District 2, whichever district it is in, unless it proves to be a different cemetery, as Councilman Baker suggested. It might. But if we don't know for sure, we shouldn't approve money for it.
Mr. Baker?
Madam Chair. But I do know that the Nugent Cemetery that they're asking money for here is right on the line. So it could still be the same cemetery.
Mr. Crittenden, Mr. Martin, those are in your district. What would you like to do?
Madam Chair, since it's going through my district, I motion we approve it.
You want to put it through your district?
Yes. That's where the application came from.
clarify, I'm sorry. I have a hard time hearing up here, I can't.
We have an application from Freeland Summerlin for the Nugent Family Cemetery, property right Adair County. And she made an application, and I make a motion to approve it.
Second.
It's under District 2.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
If, Councilman Martin seconded.
Oh, sorry.
May I?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilman Garvin, this is the same cemetery that hasn't accounted for $500 from an earlier.
Maybe and maybe not.
Well, I can't approve based on maybe or maybe not the $500 coming out of it unless it's conditional approval to executive and finance that allows for accountability time.
Madam Chair,
Baker.
the Nugent Cemetery that this person is applying for is on the border, and I do know that nothing has been done in that cemetery for some time. So whether it's the same cemetery or not, I know that nothing was done previously, and that it does need a lot of work.
Madam Chair,
Garvin.
this is a new person trying to do something to that cemetery. Apparently it needs to be done, and somebody needs to do it. So if Freeland wants to do it, well, and I'm willing to use part of my money to do it, but I don't see anything wrong with it. You got to deal with these others. I don't know who that can do this to.
Okay, let's get back here. First of all, let's look under District 2. We had Morris family that we're approving for $500. Is that correct, councilors?
Which one?
District 2 councilors? Is that correct? You're approving Morris for $500?
Yes.
Okay, we had a motion.
We need to do a motion on each of these separate since we're doing 3 different things.
What motion's on the table now?
We were
Morris for
addressing
$500.
District 2. We were addressing District 2 applications.
There's a motion and a second for item 7, Nugent, to come out of District 4, and the other 2, there was just suggestions, but no motions.
Okay, well, we're addressing District 2, under District 2. Let's get back to point here. The only motion that we have is for the Nugent Family Cemetery to come out of District 4, and we don't have a second yet, do we? Yes, we do. Okay, we have a second on that. We want to, let's move on this one. If there's all the discussion that's taken place on the Nugent Family Cemetery coming out of District 4. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, so the Nugent Family Cemetery is approved under District 4. Number 8, Morris Family Cemetery.
Approve. I make a motion to approve up to $500.
Second.
Have a motion to approve that cemetery for $500 only. They've requested $2,650. And the policy says $500, so that's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 9, Proctor Sanders Community Cemetery.
Madam Chair, I'm going to make a motion that we not take action on that until we look at, after the review of the, whatever we need to do in the next meeting. That's my motion. Second.
Hold on. We have a motion and a second to hold this application until further investigation can be done. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, District 7. Number 10, Clouds Creek Cemetery. Who will speak for that?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
That is a mistake, and it's not, there's no application for it.
Okay.
And I don't even know that it exists in District 7. I think it's a District 5 cemetery.
Probably the form from last month. Number 11, Washington Cemetery.
I know our policy is for $500, but they're doing a monument for $1,200, and they're willing to match it if there's any way, because we don't spend money in District 7 a lot on this cemetery. And so I'm very willing, out of my money, to give them $600 for a 1-to-1 match for that family, because I know they're elderly and on fixed incomes, if at all possible.
Second.
Have a motion and second for $600?
Yes, Madam Chair.
$600 for the Washington Cemetery.
It's already been, it's going to be expended quickly, so we know that that's accounted for, and there'll be.
We have a motion and a second for the Washington Cemetery. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Aye.
Motion and second. Next meeting is June the 12th at 9 a.m. Sorry, Audra. And we're adjourned.
Thank you.